really comes from somewhere that I have actually felt like I've either struggled with or I've struggled with and overcame, or I'm just in currently. So managing discouragement and distraction is two of the biggest things that I've dealt with, not only in my entire life, but obviously what you do one place kind of is what we do everywhere. So I always, as a yoga teacher, I actually always felt like being a yoga teacher has helped me here too, because what you do in one place is what you do everywhere. So managing discouragement and distraction has always been something that's been really intense for me. So if you're somebody that kind of, you do something for a while and you're not getting the results, and you're like, okay, well, this isn't working, so I'm just going to carry on, or be feeling discouraged, feeling like you're not getting the results you want. But what it all really comes back to is this is the first time that I've been in a community where I've actually been able to manage those two things. And there's a couple of reasons. One is because one thing I've always come back to is the community. So there's not something special that certain people have that have allowed them to be super successful with this opportunity. So if you're starting to feel really discouraged and like you're not getting anywhere, one of the best things to do is, and this is what I tell my team, like actually 100%, if you are not watching the weekly webinars, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, if you're a product buyer, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if you're not watching those, I actually feel like that's a huge part of the success here. So being able, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling it's not working, watching those webinars every single, like so I've been in the community, I actually just like counted it all up, and I think this is actually like my 7th month. So, which I was like, oh, I'm sure it's like the end of my 5th, going into my 6th. No, I'm in 7 months now. But I realized, you guys, honestly, in that time, I think I've missed like 2 or 3 webinars. And I'm like, sometimes like constantly like type, question, hi, I'm here. But at the end of the day, I actually feel like just being present and being at all those webinars has really contributed to my success. So if you're feeling discouraged, the number one thing I tell my team is, have you been missing webinars? Do not miss those. Like, honestly, me and Alicia and Ali, or sorry, me and Alicia and Kat can sit here all day long and kind of tell you our results. But we're not like at the level of like Matthew Jang and Julian and Brian and all these other guys that they bring in, and girls. So if you're feeling discouraged, really you can get on those, and these people have nothing different than any of us have. And a lot of them have started from nothing and built up from that. So that for me has always been something that I've been able to connect with. And when I'm feeling down and I'm feeling like it's not working, I always know that like the system is the exact same as what I have is what they have. So I go back to what's the people that are inspired, the people that it is working for. And that's really helped me. So the number one thing I tell my team, I'm like, you can't complain. You can't feel sorry for yourself if you're not watching every single webinar for months and months and months and implementing the things that you hear from on there. So if you're feeling discouraged, just make sure that you're getting back to really immersing yourself in this community, right? Like that's really what I do all the time. And that's one thing that I have never had, is the opportunity to, being an entrepreneur is incredible, right? I've been an entrepreneur for 8 years. I've owned a lot of different businesses, but I've never had the community like I have here. So make sure you guys utilize this. Like, this is a successful community with lots of successful people. So if you're feeling discouraged, really immerse yourself in that. So the webinars, reaching out to people that you inspire you within the community. So if you feel like you connect with somebody, or even if you see an ad and you're like, oh, it's performing, it's doing so good, don't be afraid to message them and be like, hey, I just seen your ad. It's looking like it's converting really well for you. What are you targeting? Or analyze their ad and get to know them and just ask them a few questions. They'll most likely give you some feedback on what they're doing that's working for them, and that'll help for you too. I'm just gonna read a couple of these. What was the question? I just got here. I did my first call tonight. She asked me to call her back on payday and walk her through the checkout. That's great, Chantal. Awesome. Weird, I can't unmute, but I'm excited to get my ads out this week. Oh, these are the wins. Okay. Just driving, guys. No video at the moment. Hi, everyone. Yes, I agree. Those webinars are crucial. Sorry, guys. Those are old comments. But those webinars are crucial to keep you motivated. Yeah, Ali agrees. Alicia is like, her and Garrett are always on them too. You can always see who's watching them with you. So motivation is a huge part, keeping you motivated, keeping you going. So I will say that in the beginning, when you're just getting going and you're running a lot of ads and things are, you expecting something to go and it doesn't go, and then you try something else and it doesn't go, and you try something else and it doesn't go, and then something happens and you might get one sale. Okay, so say you've been in the community for a couple months, 3-4 months, and you've got one sale or one conversion, and everything else you're trying isn't working. If you're testing a lot and trying things a lot and you're doing a lot of different things, one of the reasons that we focus on wins, whether it's in a webinar or whatever, is focus on the wins, because where you draw your attention to and what you're focused on that's working is going to create more. So there are people in this community that have done really well off just like their organic reach. There are people that have done, actually someone just said this to me today. So I have done all my sales off of picture ads. Taylor Snow Knowlton, I don't know if you guys don't know her, you definitely should. She's been very successful in the community, done very well. She's never run a picture ad, ever. I didn't know that until today, somebody told me. So I think it's just really important that you guys, there's not one right way to do things. And when you're feeling discouraged, maybe start looking around and seeing what else is out there, because I can tell my team or anybody that I talk to all day long what I do and what's working for me and what's worked for other people. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling discouraged, the best thing to do is to dig in and be like, hey, what's worked the best for me? Even if you've had one sale. So one sale. Why did you get that one sale? And what about that one sale? And don't overthink it, but really just look into what's working for you. So some people have got all their sales off Go Lives. So if that's what you're getting sales and you're running ads and it's not working, run more Go Lives. Yes, at the end of the day, we want to be able to work on the automated system and we want to be able to utilize that. But if your Go Lives are what's getting you sales, keep doing those. Don't have to worry about what's right or what's wrong. Don't get discouraged because your ads aren't working. How about you capitalize on things that are working for you, and then you can move on to other things? Because at the end of the day, what we really need is confidence, right? So you need your confidence in order to create and generate more. So find what is generating for you and do more of that. So just gonna look at my notes here. Oh, okay. Yes, I agree. Oh, that's right. Anybody else have anything to say on that? You guys are all super quiet tonight. Is that making sense to everybody? Like, is anything, for those of you that are like, well, nothing's working, is there anybody here that's like, well, what happens when nothing's working? Or are you guys like, I can figure out one area, even if you run like one ad and you're getting lots of likes, like you can find out what about that you think that's like generating interest for you. Okay, so let's talk about managing distractions. So how many of you here have got really into something and you get exhausted and you get tired and you're like, okay, well, this isn't working, or maybe these other things are working for other people. But, and don't be afraid to like be honest. But if you're feeling like this is hard work, I keep checking things out. Okay, so I'll be honest with you guys. I have worked multiple jobs at one time, 1 to 2 to 3 jobs most of my life. And I've always had multiple things on the go. There's a book called The One Thing that if you're anybody that's like that has your hands in a lot of different things, I really strongly recommend that book. Not because I don't think that people can benefit from having their hands in a lot of different things, but if you're somebody that's really powerful, think of what you could do is if you just drove all your energy into one thing. And I know it's really distracting sometimes when people are like expressing all their results and, you know, people are talking about all different things. But as far as like going back to focus, is if you put all your energy into one thing, and then that's why we build goals too, right? And then if you have like these other things that you want to work with over here, just make sure that you're getting to a certain level where you're feeling successful to be able to spread yourself over other areas. Ali, I see you just jumped on. Do you want to add to what I was talking about?
I mean, you hit it pretty cut and dry about the webinars. And I think that the idea to go look at people's who are, like I literally just said the same thing to someone on my team who hasn't been very present, and she was doubting herself and wondering if she could really do it. And I'm like, well, are you showing up to the webinars? And she said no. And I was like, well, I would always, when I would skip the webinars, start to slowly go down into that same place and doubt it, not want to do it, put it off. And as soon as I jump back into those webinars, it changed it. So they are crucial. So to my like team and stuff, I don't give sympathy to anybody who's, you know, struggling but not showing up, because when I wasn't showing up to those, I was struggling too. So, you know, if they're not showing up, then I'm going to suggest they do that before, you know, I put time there. So that's the first thing to know going in with your team, like to stress that. And if they don't do it, then, you know, it's a requirement that they're doing that. It's the same thing as like when I jump on a call on someone, I won't jump on a call with them unless they've actually watched the webinar usually. So at least they kind of know the basics around everything and they've taken time to do that. They're still always at the same time, Stacy. And the link's always posted on the Global Affiliate Zone page, just before, like usually 20 minutes before or so. And then we were touching on how you were talking about like checking out other people's pages. I totally agree. Like Kayla DeLargy and Taylor Knowlton. And you can even reach out to them and ask who, like maybe who they suggest on their teams might have wicked pages for you to check out as well. Cause sometimes it's easy not to know who, or too easy to like not know who to go follow. But I agree with Taylor. You know, I just wrote down in my to-do to go check out her page again, because I did, and I got inspired. And I personally have seen, and then I was like relating it to my ad motivation has definitely dwindled too. You know, when you're coming to the end of the month, whether you set goals and stuff, maybe like depending on where you're at, you can start to feel drained. Christmas is coming, you know, it's getting to be later in the month. I feel it too. And then I know I need to get re-inspired, and that's by going out and looking at the people who have what the results that you want. You want that really good performing ad, you should be looking at some ads that have a ton of comments and things like that. So I agree with that too, Shauna. We all need to do it all the time. Remember, like, this isn't just anybody who hasn't got results yet. This is for everybody, no matter how many results you get. And I guarantee you, Taylor and Kayla DeLargy and Matt Jang, they all get discouraged and, you know, and have those days as well. Even when you have the results, you're still setting higher goals for yourself, so you can still get disappointed. And then you have, like, it goes. So it's good to start now and get used to it, because this is going to be something that you're always needing to do to get that refresh and the inspire. And that's why we're constantly reading books. too. I constantly get inspired by books, and I constantly get ideas. And from a podcast I was listening to, I was going to have a notebook by my bed to write my ideas in, because a lot of times I get ideas when I'm laying there trying to go to sleep. Simple ideas. Like sometimes I get simple ideas like a name for a dog, if we were to get a dog or something like that, just something I'd like to know. And that you should write those things down. And a lot of times when I'm reading, I get inspired by something I'm reading. I think about some cool headline and stuff, but you don't want to necessarily put your book down and go and write it down, but you should jot these things down or throw them in a note in your phone, because a good idea today might not be valuable or profitable for, a year, 2 years, 6 months, who knows? But then you have this book of ideas you can go through and get inspired by them. And so this is something you always need to be doing. It's so easy to go stagnant. So doing things that inspire you and being around the people who are, doing the same thing as you is absolutely crucial. That's it for me.
That was amazing. Amazing. So, Alicia, basically, like, honestly, you guys, I am totally the same. One of the first things I say, I'm like, when people are struggling, I'm like, so are you watching the Tuesday and Wednesday webinars? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, well, we'll talk when you start doing that, because I can tell you all day long, but I'm not them. And you know what, you guys, Tech Tuesday, be there and raise your hand. I did for 3 weeks. I had this ad that I was like, had questions on. And for 3 weeks, I was like ready. And like, I was like, raise my hand. And I didn't make it the first 2, but the 3rd week I did. And it was like, it actually was, do you guys know what? Like the day after I got on that webinar and I started implementing things, my business doubled. Like I doubled, and it got me on the leaderboard in like the next week. So if you have something that you're really excited to do, and I was like, if I could get on that webinar and they could look at my stuff, and whether like, it's just like all in your head, right? So bottom line is, if you're not on the webinars, you can't really pout. So,
and it's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it just incredible, Shauna, how just the littlest bit of effort, like showing up and asking a question, doubled your business, doubled it. Like, that is huge. So, you're never going to get those results unless you're at least like doing the first step, which would be at least get on the webinar and get inspired by something and be around these people and ask your questions. Because there's so many times when people message me and they're like, oh, I'm bugging you. Like, I don't want to bug you. And I feel like I'm bugging you. And I'm like, no, you're not bugging me. You remember that, like, this is what I do full time. I'm here to coach. But if you're asking me questions that I know were answered in the Tech Tuesday or the Wednesday webinar because I was there and someone went over someone's ad that went over this and you should have been there taking notes, that's when it might become more of like, okay, those might be the people that I put on hold and don't answer their message right away, because it's not my priority to take my time when they should have been utilizing that webinar and really getting all of the answers and clarity that they need much better than I can do in like a voice note, right? So that's the point where I'm like, I know they went over this in the webinar. I know I took notes on it, and I was there, so they should be too. So, if you're not showing up, there's people who know, and it's going to show. It's going to show in your business, and it's going to show in the questions you're asking and in groups and things like that as well. So make sure that you're growing with your business at the same rate as everybody else. And the best way to grow is to be there every week, getting re-inspired and getting those questions answered. Because you don't want to stay in the beginner stages of the knowledge around Ads Manager and things like that forever. It took me a long time to get out of it. And the sooner you learn and get your head wrapped around it, the sooner results will come too, right? So it's crucial.
Like, let's just put it this way, you guys. There's over like, well, it's funny because Team Phoenix has 10,000 people, but I'd say there's over 6,000 to 8,000 active users in the community. On those webinars, there's 200 to 300. And if you actually take a look at those 200 to 300 people, those are the 200 to 300 that are actually getting the results, you guys. So if you want to have the same results, jump on those webinars. We don't have to beat the horse with the the dead horse with a stick. But I will say that at the end of the day, if you do one thing, get on those webinars. For those of you that, I just want to talk about one thing, for those of you that have a specific issue in your life that is kind of trying on you, where you're like, I don't know how to get past this. This is real. It's heavy. It's hard. Whatever it is, I started something called, mine's called The Cosmic Child. I have a child that has some health issues that I find that no matter what I do, it kind of takes me out. Whether it's a child with health issues or your own personal health issues or your own financial struggles, it doesn't matter what it is. Get a book and your relationship issues, whatever. And what I would say is, like, I'm really excited for my book because I haven't done this yet. But for my son, what I'm going to do is every day I am going to write something in here that he is doing right, that he is growing, that's doing good for him. So if it's a relationship thing for you, you can write one thing about that person that you appreciate. And I really think that if there's one thing in your life that you're like, well, I can't get there because of this, and I can't focus because of this, I would recommend getting a specific journal for that thing where every day you can write something that is positive about that one specific thing. So, and a specific journal for it, I think would be really, really great. So obviously we all have different things, that kind of one thing that we feel like is our barrier. One thing also that you guys really is important to know is, okay, so the first thing is like, okay, getting a winning ad. Then you get the winning ad, and then it's like, okay, now you got to talk to people and you got to get them to respond. And then you get them to respond and you got to get them to watch the webinar, get them on the phone. And then you send the buy link, and then you got to get them to buy the buy link. So this is the thing, is you have to enjoy every single part of the process. So the moment you get past one thing, there's like this next thing. And it's like that you have to be good at, or that you have to learn. So a really big thing about this is being able to appreciate the process. So that's why, like, we have all this training and we have all this technical training, is because as soon as you like kind of get past one area, like, you're on to the next. So if you can't find a way to have fun and appreciate the journey, you're going to have a really hard time, because then you're like, okay, now this, oh, now this part. Okay, now this. This is fun, you know, and by the end of it, when you actually do start really gaining momentum and you're like, yeah, I got this, then all of a sudden something's going to go sideways and you're going to be like, oh, I don't got this. So try and enjoy the moments, you know, the things about this current moment or this time, the things that you love. So that's why it goes back to, like, going back to what you're doing that's working. Even if it's one teeny tiny little thing, we focus on that. One more thing I want to talk about besides that is managing distractions. So I've had a couple of people approach me recently about people inboxing them or messaging them. The moment somebody messages me about another offer, I don't respond. I used to respond. I used to say, you know, I'm really focused on my one thing, and I just thank you and I really appreciate it. But now I just actually, like, I just delete them. I'm not negative and I don't unfriend them or anything. I just delete it. And if they keep continually messaging me, I'll unfriend them. The bottom line is, you guys, is we know this is the best. Like, this is the one thing that can offer you so much opportunity for freedom. So focus on this. And the only way you fail is if you quit. There is nothing like this opportunity out there. There isn't. And I know that because I know that. Like, I'm so sure of that on so many levels. So if you're starting to feel discouraged, reach out to your upline. reach out to somebody in this community before you get super discouraged. Because when my team, when people start to go silent, that's when I reach out to them more, because people tend to kind of go internal and then they don't talk. And I'll reach out to them, and a lot of times they will open up, and then I'm like, hey, let's talk about that. Let's talk about why you're not feeling like you have the results. So it is a very, very normal part of the process. I'll be completely transparent. Alicia actually helped me. I went through a phase at one point, and not at one point, a couple times in the beginning, where I was like, I don't know, is this gonna work? Like, and I reached out to her, and at the time I didn't know Alicia super well, but you guys, trust the community, because the advice I got and the feedback I got from Alicia completely, like, she just said a few things that I was like, you're right. Yes. So don't be afraid to reach out to anybody. Because what you'll really get, the validation you'll get just from hearing people, is you'll be like, yeah, that's right. That is why I'm here. This is a different community. It's a different kind of atmosphere. Anybody's willing to help you. So feel free to reach out to anybody at any time, and hopefully you can get that inspiration. People reach out to me lots, and I'll always respond and help. Yeah, Alicia, maybe you want to expand on that.
Well, just that people do reach out. Like, it's not uncommon that I'll get random messages from people in the community just asking. Like, I just had one the other day, and she's like, how did you, basically everything. And I just sent some voice notes. She reached out to me on Instagram, like, can you just message me on my messenger so I can voice note you? And just tell, and I do that to people too. I reached out to Taylor Knowlton to get her advice, just asking her, like, I just needed that pick me up and stuff. And when you start to get discouraged, it's like a downward spiral. So it might start with something like the webinar, and then it could start, and then you might, stop reading the magic, and then you might feel like you can't reach out to people, or like they might like not want to like answer, or, those weird insecurities that we get. Same limiting beliefs, the two voices in your head, like telling you not to do what you should just do. And then as soon as you do it, you're like, wow, that was effortless. It was so easy. I feel so much better. The weight's lifted. Like, I'm so glad I did that, And sometimes we put that off with so much. Even me, like, calling support about something in my AWeB or my G Suite not working the other day. I was like dreading it, and I put it off and procrastinated, and it seriously took like 15 minutes, and I was just like, did a little happy dance after, and I was like, that was so easy, and I'm so glad I finally did it, So just do it. The minute you have that thought in your head, don't procrastinate. Just reach out to whoever it is. It could be anyone. There might be some people like Brian, certain people in the community who might not get back right away. But for the most part, the people I've reached out to, and I know the girls, like Kayla and Taylor would always reach out. But there are some people like Jang and like Brian and stuff who are obviously super busy, but there's so many people that you can look up to and reach out to. And Garrett Francis is one of them too.
He's like, no more. So basically,
he just wants to
recap.
And
let's do a quick recap. Okay, so first thing is, no complaining if you're not watching the webinars 2 days a week. I literally am like, I plan my schedule around it. People are like, you want to do dinner? I'm like, well, I'm not available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So you want to do dinner? We'll do Friday, Saturday, or Sunday evening. Because after this is done, you guys, we're going to go back to our same, our different groups and stuff, which we still have a lot of information. So no complaining. If you're not on those webinars and you're not surrounding yourself in this community, then it's going to be really tough for you to get back on track. And believe me, there's been days I've been like super poopy and been like, this is tough, and I hate this, and I don't want to jump on that. And then I get on the webinar and I'm like, oh yeah, that was awesome. So you have this motivation for free every single week. So jump on them. Your second thing is your personal development. have to keep doing it. So do the things that you love. If you love going to the gym and you can get to go to the gym, the days that you're like feeling chubby or discouraged, just put in your earphones and go to the gym. Just do the things that inspire you, because that is what's going to create more motivation. Unfollow people or don't respond or unfriend people that are pulling you somewhere else, that you feel like that are just constantly, like I unfollow people all the time that are constantly posting. It's fine if people are constantly posting offers, but if you feel like you're like, well, what are they doing? Like, what do they do? What are they interested? Like, this is nothing gives people the results that this gives them. You guys, I worked so many different businesses, and I'm telling you from my experience, making more money easier than I ever have in my life. So believe in the system, be all in. If you're feeling like you're distracted, just unfollow people. You don't have to unfriend them. You can unfollow them. Or actually, Facebook even has something right now that says take a break. Has anybody tried that? Does anybody know what that is? Because I was wondering what that take a break was. I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool, but I have no idea what it is. And have fun. So focus on what's working for you. If you're so focused on like building this winning ad, but you're struggling with like finding pictures and you can't get a video, or maybe you're doing lots of video ads and they're not working, and then maybe you have to try picture ads because so-and-so said picture ads work well, or so-and-so said video ads work the best. Find what's working the best for you and focus on that. It doesn't matter what the training is or what people say is what's working. Focus on what is working for you. Be grateful. Hold on. Wilbur is whining. Just at the most important thing, you guys, is just to be able to be focused on what can get you excited, what's working for you, and do more of that. That's it. Really, what it comes down to, me and Chris talk about this all the time. It's like, I'm trying to do the magic and I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do everything right. I'm like, really, all we have to do is be happy and be grateful for what is working. So that's the key. Get on the webinars. Get excited for what is working, even if it's this big. So celebrate your wins, do more of what's working, and engulf yourself in the community and reach out to people that inspire you. I'm just blocking them, but not unfriending, so they don't even. Oh, okay. Well, that's a good idea. You just block people, Ruby. That's great. And you guys, you will find the more you put yourself out there and the better you're doing, the more haters you're going to get. So get ready, because, and actually I did a little bit of, it took a while for me to get my head wrapped around this because I cared too much what people thought, but people want you to do well until you're doing better than them. And then they don't like you. So just be ready. Honestly, the more haters you have, the better you're doing. So that's another reason to reach out to somebody in the community that you look up to, because I guarantee you every single person that's done well has dealt with a ton of haters. I had this issue for a while where I couldn't post videos because I had all these men making fun of my hair and the way I looked. And I was like, oh, I thought I was a pretty girl, and I guess I'm not. And it was weird. It was like, but there was an insecurity for me. So we don't have to analyze ourselves by what people put out about us. I was like, well, maybe I should change my hair. I got all wrapped up in that. But don't do that. Just acknowledge that the more haters that you get, I'm like, oh, haters. Okay, I'm doing better. No time. Delete, block, goodbye. Don't think about what they're saying, and just move on. That's the way it works. I'm all in, so look out for my haters. No focus on the haters. We don't focus on them, because what we resist persists, and what we focus on grows. So does anybody else have any feedback? How was tonight for you guys? Do you guys feel like inspired, motivated, not scared, ready to go for it? I'm like late. Nobody wants to. I see nodding heads. Nodding heads is good. Type it. Share it. Definitely helps keep my spirits up. So good. Thank you, Shauna. Very inspirational. Good, Sam. I'm glad. We're all in it together. We all have similar struggles. We've all went through those ups and downs. Like I said, I reached out to Alicia. I remember at a point where I was struggling a lot. And I was just like, I didn't know where I was in it all. Reach out to people because we've all been there. Not once, sometimes more than once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So just remember that that's why this community is here. Yes, good. Gonna get on those webinars this week. Yes, lucky they live 11 hours away. Who's gonna get on the webinars? Yes. Who's never gonna miss a webinar for the next 6 months? Type yes. I'm temporarily starting back in my full-time position tomorrow from mat leave. The only thing making me feel like I can do this is the means to an end, just so I can afford more ads with my business. Use your struggles. Exactly, Heidi. Use that for your fuel. You'll do amazing. You will. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, look at all the yes. Me. I've been loving them. Good. Okay. Nobody's going to miss any more webinars. They're all going to be on there. Okay. So then I feel like this was a success. Yeah, Allie, you agree? If you get every single person in here on the webinars every week and never miss one, do you feel like we could this would be could change every single person's business, right?
Yeah, if you guys jumped on the Tuesday, Wednesday webinars for 1 month straight, you would definitely see a spike. But you need to jump in, be present, because sometimes I'm on webinars and I'm doing other things, cooking, talking to Garrett. So be there, listen. But even when I was cooking my dinner or cooking dinners and stuff, when I was first starting out, I still had my notebook and pen on the table. So as soon as something was said, I'd go write it down because I'm the worst, being like, oh, I'll remember that, or I'll write it down after. Write it down as soon as they say. You'll be surprised at how much value and stuff comes out of those for you guys. And then just review it, look over it doesn't have to be a lot. Some webinars I would come out with 2 pages of notes in my daytimer though. So it's not your average size, but write it down and look at it every week, maybe before the next week's webinar, just skim over your notes. And you might conjure up some questions. It's really, really valuable for you. You guys there's such little minor things like writing questions down or asking them in the group chat and stuff on those webinars, but they're actually so powerful. You might not think that they have power behind them, but they do. They really do. And just doing it that first time just opens up a lot of space for more opportunities for you to be more outgoing like that and just ask. Because eventually when you're at events and things, you're going to be standing in front of these people that you should be asking questions. So if you don't start asking questions now, even in something like the chats, then you're going to be more hesitant to do it when you're in front of the people. And anything that you hear Jang says, any of those guys are you need to ask the questions. And sometimes you just freeze or you don't know what to say. So that's why, always writing those types of things down is so huge for you and your business, right? So that's it. But yeah, if you guys check them, and if you miss one, commit to watching the replay. But there's something about catching them live. There's something about it, being there and being able to ask questions and seeing everyone in there with you and feeling like you're there with everyone, everyone else. And there's hundreds, right? So everyone else in there has set that time aside in their night to better their business. So there's no reason you feel like you're part of the community at that point. So even if I'm in the gym and stuff, a lot of times I'll tune in to it and just have it in my headphones, right? So it's important to do it.
Well, I hope you all have an amazing night. Unless anybody has any specific questions or anything they want to touch on, then no? Okay. Okay, well, thanks for all of you coming out tonight. Sunday night, Monday night, get your goals ready. And remember, we will, I know we haven't mentioned it for a little bit, but we are giving away a prize. So
Yeah, I was going to bring that up to you too.
Okay, good.
Remember, this is the last week of November, guys. If you have goals, your stuff has to be in this week. Anagic is not open Saturdays and Sundays. So if you have some goals, Garrett's got some big goals too. We know this week is like,
nail it.
Yeah, just focus. Don't even think about, a lot of times the last week of the month, you might start thinking like it's too late, like, but it's not.
No.
You'll be so amazed at how quickly things can happen. Like bang, bang, bang. Garrett's like, I got three coaching calls 3 days in a row starting Monday. They're all going to be trifectas. He's saying it. He knows it. If that's what happens, we can have him process, be on the phone with an addict, and make things happen. So don't ever start to slack at the end of the month, because it's when you need to be your strongest, in my opinion.
Totally.
So
Get your goals dialed in, review them tomorrow morning, reevaluate your monthly goals, you guys. Look at them, look at where you want to be in a week, and figure out how you're going to get there in the next 7 days. Do not discount your power. You guys, do not, because humans are freaking powerful human beings. So figure out your goals, nail them down, commit this week to what you deserve, what you're going for, and make it happen. And we will, if you guys aren't sure about our little contest, basically we're gonna be giving away 3 prizes to people that reach their goals. So also, we mentioned at the beginning of the month, you have to do one thing nice per week for somebody else, or for a community, for a cause. So if you haven't done something nice for anybody, like whether it's help an old lady carry her groceries out, whether it's donate to your local animal shelter, or food bank, or whatever it is, you guys, doesn't matter. Make sure you have 4 of those under your belt, because we're gonna ask you when we get, when you guys are hitting your goals and we wanna hear about them, we're gonna be like, hey, what's your 4 things that you did this month to help other people? So that's the only other qualifications, is that you made sure that you did those 4 things and that you hit your goals. That's all you have to do. So get excited. Know how powerful you are. Seriously, you're amazing. People do amazing things every single day. And if you don't know how amazing people are, read the book, The Rise of Superman. Seriously, blowing my freaking mind. Humans are insanely incredible beings. Read that book. You'll have a whole new appreciation for human life. Anyways, okay. Take care, you guys. Thanks, Allie, for coming and helping me tonight. Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, Ruby, Carol Lee, Sam, Tanya. Bye, guys.